The spiritual capitalist has the wisdom to combine spiritual growth with material success. But wanting to be rich is selfish, and spirituality is all about selflessness. So this conflict of interest seems impossible to solve. But I'd argue that if you want to self-actualize, you'll have to solve it. No meditation will change the fact that if you lack money, you're trapped in a shitty job. Your kids will have a rough life, and worst case, you starve to death. The best strategy to sell you spirituality would be to say you will get rich quick if you listen to me, with some dumb law of attraction manifestation type bullshit. Thank God this is not what this video is going to be about. On the flip side, if you lack spiritual development, you're not at peace anywhere. You're addicted to social media, driven by drugs, and controlled by what your parents think of you. Self-love can't be bought. I can't tell you how to get rich, because I'm not rich myself. And far more important, I'm not you. But I can help you to find the wisdom you're actually looking for, because I also don't want to be a hostage in my own body. I don't like to be a slave to society. I want the freedom to be authentically me. And I think I made some very good progress in the last 3 years. And this means to be financially free and build something meaningful along the way. So let's learn how to use the systems we are trapped in wisely. But isn't using spirituality for material success some type of egoic trick? A way for the ego to justify its pursuit for wealth and power? Yes, in a way it is. New Age spirituality gurus are trying to tell you that you need to destroy your ego, but I think that's super inauthentic, because most of them are also driven by power, money and fame. I don't want to reject who I am. I hope you don't want either. Nowadays, everybody loves to hate on capitalism. There's this cultural trend among people my age, and you probably have seen it, to just claim that capitalism is evil. Very few seem to understand or actually appreciate how lucky we are to have been growing up in this society. Right now we're talking between devices that have more power, like communicative power to them, than entire empires had back in the day. Entire movie networks I'm able to start just from my home. Instead of hunting, we can enter supermarkets and choose between thousands of different products. Hell, we don't even have to go outside anymore. They deliver it to our fucking houses. This is the magic of monetary incentive. We have so much possibilities, yet are so ungrateful. And of course, it's not like that there aren't many reasons to be mad about the current systems. Our vulnerabilities are getting exploited, but on full force. The point of good capitalism should be to enrich our lives and not to exploit each other's vulnerabilities. But vulnerabilities is actually a key word now, because what's really the difference between exploiting people's vulnerabilities and helping them? We sell to fulfill needs, so capitalism inherently needs to prey on people's vulnerabilities, because selling to our pain technically is what can alleviate the pain. But I'd argue that with spiritual integrity, you don't sell to make money, but you sell because you sincerely want to be useful. And I claim that this is what everybody wants. Imagine creating something you find valuable and are getting paid for it. How motivating is that? To create, solve problems, and then get paid for it? Hell yeah, I want that. And if there's even just a spark of desire in you when you hear me talk about this, most likely you want too. But isn't capitalism full of exploitation and corruption? Of course. Doesn't it create a bunch of creatively bankrupt live-action remakes? Without a doubt. Has it caused our entire societal economy to evolve around manipulating us into becoming addicted to unhealthy products that are rotting our minds? Jesus Christ, yes. But multiple things can be true at the same time. Capitalism brings out the worst and the best in us. It's just another way of saying that humans are the best and the worst things on this planet. Despite my desire for self-transcendence, my idealized self is still stuck on this planet. And to say all you need is love is very easy if you don't have to pay rent. You want to make money while genuinely caring about the value you provide. This way you can actually, have some healthy pursuit of power and wealth while actually having your soul in the right place. Money is really necessary for spiritual growth. Because if you don't have money, you really have no freedom to do what you want. And this means to make yourself friends with capitalism. But with rising suicide rates, more consumerism clearly isn't the answer. We need something else. Money, I got money, I got. But instead of now focusing on some statistics or some weird conceptual idea of depression, I'd actually just talk about personally how my life has been. I really thought that my materialist worldview was just absolutely true. And I don't mean materialism now in some sense of, yeah, let me buy more Bugattis and stuff. No, I mean scientific materialism. I thought that the universe was like a lifeless machine, and I recognized the truth of science and physics as some sort of absolute. This is when I stopped believing in God. But what I didn't yet recognize is that by losing the belief in God, I started to fall into a deep rabbit hole that was my own consciousness and identity. And here you see the struggles you gain when you lose the religious notions of spirituality and have no sense of community to hold on to. A lot of people here fall into materialism in order to avoid the sense of void. This is where you get all of these CEO grindset mindset type of people, because they don't see anything actually meaningful in reality but just the money that they could gain to fuel their own sense of self-worth. This is the complete opposite of being a spiritual capitalist. But through meditation, philosophy and psychedelics, I regained a sense of spirituality, and reality became much more visceral, much more profound than what I previously assumed from my atheistic framework. And this is actually just an understatement. Reality became so profound that I couldn't possibly describe it with words. I made some extremely shocking realizations, like that death isn't the end, and that in an absolutely mind-bending way we are all just one consciousness. But it isn't just a concept, like I lived like this, you could say I was getting psychotic. I started to realize that all my life is just a complete illusion and a construct. So at this point in my life I was very, very lost. If everything's already how it's supposed to be, and the ego is an illusion, and everything is gonna disappear anyway, then why should I care about anything? I was able to relativize all types of meaning and to, reject any sort of responsibility for my life or other people. Spirituality became a destructive behavior, and I know I'm not the only one who engages with spirituality in this way. I clinged stronger to hedonism. Smoking weed and video games were my purpose. To make it even worse, I actually thought that this was some spiritual notion of being in the moment and accepting everything exactly how it is. In a really fucked up way, I thought I was above the material world actually, because I kind of judge people who want to make money as inferior, as people who didn't see the meta truths of the universe and they were actually just trapped in society's rat race. But actually, I was just afraid. I was afraid of my responsibilities, of leaving my comfort zone, of being judged by other people, and worst of all, maybe not being able to stop my addictions. What if I can't stop smoking weed? What if I have to play video games? This was the biggest fear. Being stuck in who I am. And acceptance is a very good excuse to not have to change. Which is kinda dumb, because acceptance and change are not contradictions at all. It's actually necessary to accept yourself if you want to change. Like, the first step for any alcoholic is to accept that he's an alcoholic before he can move on. I was just afraid of finding out who I truly am. It was all ego.
Everything is simply a shape, a form, an identifier to let others recognize me as me. But then, what am I? Is this me? My true self? My fake self? What is it that I am?
Who are you? There is little difference between how you interpret yourself and how the others interpret you.
Can you feel the sense of being somehow more important than anything else? Nobody knows how it's like to be you. Other people are real, of course, but they're not as real as you are, right? You appear to be special. You have this POV perspective of you, as if you are the center of the universe. This is your ego. Of course you understand intellectually that you're not actually more important than anybody else, but you haven't lived one day in the body of another being. You are everything you know, like the entire universe is getting filtered through like your consciousness. So your survival instinct and self-bias tell you to protect yourself and to care about yourself. And this is good, it's important, so you don't become another part of this disgusting statistic. So spirituality can't be only about destroying all self-bias. If it was so, then nobody could be alive. But then of course, if you're not spiritually inclined, then you want to go to the complete opposite direction. I don't want to think about how I'm just one person in 8 billion, so let me only care about myself and fuck everybody else. It's all about me. But then you also end up torturing yourself, because you constantly are comparing and judging. You don't feel adequate in society, as if you're left behind or just not strong enough, rich enough, famous enough. And look at all of these other people who have way more success and are way younger than me. And this self-centeredness then starts to become a huge pain and burden. Nobody has asked to be born, and the responsibility of life is sometimes just excruciating. So deep down, we all wish to somehow not exist. And this is why you feel drawn to selflessness, spirituality. The reason why I'm nowadays so content in being who I am is because I've managed to do two concrete things. I feel very driven to achieve my goals, but I don't really care about the outcome of my efforts. I really want something and then I pursue it, but I don't care really that much if I get it. I'm very selfish in the sense that I really care about just being happy myself, and I accept the world as dark as it may be. But on the other side, I just really don't want the world to be as shitty as it is right now, and I want to put my part in it to make it better. It's like I've made my own body independent of outside influences. And no, of course I'm not enlightened. I'm still so susceptible to bad news and negativity around me. But it is very different than what it used to be. It feels like that I'm some type of automaton? Yeah, some type of automaton. I just do what I'm programmed to do, while actually being quite content with who I am. So how the hell does all of this work? How have I learned to do this?
What is it that you wish for? What is it that you want?
You're very insecure, aren't you?
How amazing would it be if you could build something truly meaningful? Because the moment I stepped away from my addictions and I just reflected of what is it that I really want to do with my life, and then I understood how awesome it would be to just live a life of purpose and meaning, I knew that I could overcome my fears. I understood that what spirituality actually was about is to realize yourself. And it might sound very paradoxical, but to start this path of self-realization is to learn detachment. This is the main skill that I learned from all of this psychedelic meditation philosophy craziness. The most reliable way to teach you detachment is to teach you the framework of spiral dynamics. Spiral dynamics is a map of human development. It was initially created by Don Edward Beck at the end of the 90s. It was a revolutionary way to look at human history through a lens of ego development. There are 8 stages of spiral dynamics, and all of them are color-coded as their name. You can imagine it as a spiral staircase with 8 distinct levels. Each level represents a unique way of viewing the world and what we as humans consider important. We climb the spiral, moving through the stages as we grow and mature. This can be applied on an individual level, but also on a societal level. For example, we used to watch people in colosseums kill each other for our entertainment. We sacrificed for gods and enslaved people for our own material gain. These were the stages: beige, purple and red. Much more primal and a lot less empathetic. Through our ego development, we transcend these more primal stages and become more holistic as a species. Holistic thinking is characterized by the belief that parts are interconnected and can only be understood together. But in the context of detachment and spiritual capitalism, I want to focus on 2 particular stages that are super relevant to our discussion. Stage Orange, the achiever stage. This is where the capitalist mindset thrives. When you personally are on stage Orange, you tend to strive for autonomy and independence. You seek out the good life and material abundance. You enhance life through science and technology, and you enjoy competition and play to win. Stage Orange is where empires grow, technology advances and individuals become wealthy, but it's also much more egocentric in the sense that they care about their own success first and foremost. But despite spiral dynamics being mapped as some sort of level of ascension, they are all traps, and none of these stages are just intrinsically better than another. If you get stuck in Orange, you'll start making crypto scams and believe your fame and success is your personal worth. You are much more susceptible to societal judgments. You become super rich, but have no sense of purpose or integrity. It's the CEO mindset stage. You're smiling while your friends are stuck in hell. But if you're like me, you skipped the stage too early in your life and quickly got attached to stage green. Stage green is the relativistic community stage. Stage green people tend to empathize with the inner being of self and other. They tend to liberate humans from dogmatic mindsets, reach decisions through diplomatic consensus, and often share some type of meta perspective on truth and the nature of society. Stage green people are very good at relativizing and harmonizing different aspects into one. Cooperation is valued over competition. It appeals to social harmony and cohesion. Stage green often criticizes the materialistic focus of the previous stage. But if you're trapped in the green stage, you'll become a useless hippie. Always preaching about empathy and compassion, but not getting anything done. No backbone to discuss controversial ideas. You're basically now stuck in being woke. No stage is better than another because they're all parts of our humanity. And like we said before, we don't want to reject that, do we? If you didn't have stage beige, for example, which is the first of all, the survival stage, well then you would be dead. Well-developed spirituality is about transcending these levels altogether while integrating the previous stage as part of your identity. You contain multiple selves within you. They don't need to fight against each other for some sort of hierarchy. Learn how to dance between these stages as needed, never being bound to one singular perspective. This is what detachment looks like. Notice them within you and realize you can switch between them without holding onto any of them as your main identity. You know, I personally am of course at stage turquoise, which is the highest stage on the list. I've just transcended all the previous stages and I'm just now at this very smart meta perspective of all things. This is why I'm just more conscious than everybody. The main point of this video is that spiritual capitalism is about harnessing the drive and innovation of the achievement stage, while tempering it with the empathy and interconnectedness of the community stage. It's capitalism with a conscience, ambition with awareness. Solve problems for others, selflessness, is perfectly compatible with doing what you want and getting paid, selfishness. Now would probably be a good point to pitch your product and sell you something, but stage green isn't letting me yet. I honestly just want to help, and if you want more guidance with self-realization topics, there's a link in the description for my Discord community. You'll find a landing page where you can apply. Do you believe that this video was helpful? Because I actually want to know. I think that if you integrate what we've talked about and you see the value in capitalism while spotting the different spiral dynamic stages within you, I think you can very quickly strengthen the identity you want to strengthen. If you want more ambition and drive in your life, then you can strengthen the self-improver identity. And if you want to dissolve social conditionings and comparisons, then the inner peace of the community stage is what you want to integrate further. I really have spent a lot of time self-reflecting and meditating on all of these different stages, and it really doesn't take that much time to make some significant improvements in your life. Then the struggle between spirituality and making money really stops. You just know intuitively what you want to do and you follow that. I believe the really most difficult part is to stop all of those coping mechanisms we are being manipulated to, like technology, drugs, sex. All of these different influences of the outside world are really trying to hypnotize you so that you don't find your own true authentic voice. So what does all of this actually mean in practice? It means pursuing your ambitions without being attached to the outcome. It means making money while genuinely caring about the value you provide. It means developing yourself spiritually while engaging fully with the material world. This is the path that I'm on. It can be yours too.